So we're down at a local little waterway, and I thought we'd look around and see what kind of rocks, minerals, and stuff like that has been exposed super early in the season, because we had super big, strong floods and rains really early on. Ooh, look, there's a little piece of an old ceramic jar lid before they were metal, for like a ball mason jar. So even relics are washing out around here. And yeah, everything just got stirred super early in the season by a lot of strong water. So the debris flow is actually up there over those logs. So this entire channel, see how all the trees are bent sideways, was full of water just a few days ago after being dry for our dry season of about 6 months. Or 3 months, I guess. And yeah, so there's a good opportunity to see anything in the world just laying on the surface. And we are at a crossroads that was always a fording point, and inhabited by everybody all through the eons. And it is tore up looking because of all the water. So let's inspect around, and I'll show you what we find. Already I'm seeing my coffee spill. But chunks of red chert. We're definitely high banking, so we're looking for stuff sticking right out of the actual bank here, because a lot of these properties and areas just dumped right into the rivers. So as it gets scoured away each year, it's a chance to see things just sticking right out. Here's a nice piece of green Franciscan chert. Nice transparency on that. That chunk of chert caught my eye, and then I was drawn even farther down to that. So we'll start with this. It's a yellowish chunk of the same Franciscan. Comes in all shades. The characteristics though let me know what it is. You can see the flat layer of it that reveals it's a sedimentary. There's actually another chunk of the green right there. You see the little lips there, and then it's a raw greenness. A little more milky than our first piece. But then that caught my eye, and that looks like a little piece of carnelian right there. For sure. Beautiful. So this is some of this Bay Area carnelian. It's about as orange as it gets. It doesn't get the real deep reds in it, but that's a nice translucent piece. Lots of little bits of ceramic around, and rich with this chert. There's another green olivey colored piece. There's that profile that we were looking for. Do you see it? Right there. So we're gonna have to get our little footsies a little wets probably. Oh, no. We gotta lean way out here. We're in trouble. We need a big standing on rock. Woo! Yes, sirree. Also allows us to grab this cool looking piece of orange jasper. But that's what we reached out there for. That is a nice projectile tip. I can't say what it was for an atlatl or a spear. It probably went on the front of something and it's long and skinny, so I'm assuming it's a projectile or not a knife or anything. And the river has worn it down to where all of the napping is almost gone, but you can see the shape of it. And from memory, I believe it's an Adena, but we will look that up for sure. But yeah, probably about 1700 years old at least. This one was lucky to keep its little point on it. It looks good, all shined up. Got it all polished up here. And yeah, classic design. Found a bunch of these over the years. And I'm using this book, which is one of the only ones on the market, and it does a fair job at cataloging them as far as you know, what we know at this point as people looking back. But a lot of the forms that are pretty standard that even I see repeating are in here, and they at least have given standard names to. Whether those were the original names, who knows, but you know, they're usually named after the place or the person that found them or identified them. A lot of these pieces that I'm finding are what I would call Lerma rounded base, and it's 10,000 to 5,000 before present. A lot of the forms here on the west coast are these rounded base, and you can see how close that ends up being to it. That rounded base is one of the key features, the way that they sit, and they have the little angle at the bottom and stuff. Almost an identical fit. So yeah, even the description of how they're made fits. And in this general grouping you'll see some of the other forms that we often find. And again, Lerma pointed base is what they're calling them. Ooh, look at this red and black mahogany obsidian. That's probably got really cool colors to it. That's what we're doing, is just looking for shapes, and a lot of the things that I find like that are more from shape than the actual spotting it. You know, it's like my brain recognizes the shape. Look at this cool piece of orange and reddish jasper with some black fracturing through the whole thing. Lots of beautiful colors right here. Ooh, look at that mix. This is like a swirl of different shirts. Maybe even a little bit of red jasper in there. Ooh, that almost is a dragon's blood mix there. This is one of the first places that my parents would take me from probably like 5 years old and on, because it was close to home, and we lived in a little skinny house trailer. And if any of you lived in trailers in the summer in hot areas, you know it gets very hot and they get very cold. So, and there was a lot of us, there was 4 of us, so we would get out of there all the time and go do outdoor stuff. Yeah, luckily my parents were people who did constant outdoor stuff, so my memories of being young are super rich and full of exploring all these places, like stopping somewhere like this near town once a week and fishing and camping at least once a month, and very, very lucky. Look at this dark piece of, it's probably actually a chert, like a brick colored chert with nice quartz inclusion running through the whole thing. Make a fun tumbler. It's still an easy spot to stop by. And this time of season, the tourists are all gone from the area, and these areas are real empty and quiet. There's another piece of chert. This one's got some nice striations in it, running that way. That's how it would have sat, top and bottom in a big old layer. Yep. Classic Franciscan. And checking all these banks for the ends of bottles and guns and gold coins and anything else. Mostly pottery sherds, but you never know. This is the quest for details. And oftentimes when I'm wandering around with you guys, they give us wonderful things to look at. Nice translucent piece of something. We might have just found one of my favorites. That might be like a milky uranium glass, like Vaseline. If nothing else, it's a pretty little sherd that we can bring with us, but that might fluoresce and it might have uranium in it, which would be really cool if we found that. Another good omen, because the universe knows that I love this stuff, and it's always cool to walk down to a river and pluck out the things that you were envisioning. This little piece is for sure a little piece of Vaseline glass, or whatever you want to call it. It has uranium in it and it glows. Let me show you that. Pretty awesome. It's not it's never a for sure thing that you're gonna find something like that. I know it's just a little piece of broken stuff, but I collect uranium glass, and any of these fluorescent little shards are my favorite ones. So everybody has their favorite color, you know, blues and reds and in beach glass are always popular and stuff like that. So for me, in all the different shards and sherds that I go through, the uranium based stuff and fun fluorescent stuff are some of my favorites. So to be creek walking and find a bit of that is a fun little thing. We did it again. Thick pieces of glass. It could be the good dangly for a wind chime. Kind of a brown agate creature. Work these little gravel patches in between these willows. Ooh, here's a super clear piece of like white chert. See the color? That's not quartz, it's like a chert. And just very white and very translucent. Yeah, that's a cool one just to kind of show the different variety that it comes in. And then we got piece of top of a jar lid, more glass, top of what would have been a beautiful small little blue and white crock. That's what I mean about bringing the detector, because that's just laying across the surface. So yeah, my head's on a swivel. Also, this time of year I love it because you can look through the bushes where all this would have been covered in willow leaves and you can see way more. But just the fact that we're putting the first footprints here, that's kind of fun too. Well, there's animal prints. This is actually probably a piece of chert again, just super yellowish. Into this next gravel bed, and really looking scoured out. I'm happy about that. There's a couple cool colors shining up at us. There's yellow, nice strong bright chunky yellow, all colors. And then I saw this piece of quartz over here. Looks really cool. It's got some very orange to it. So, and you know, that may have been a sharp edge tool, but you just couldn't tell anymore. But yeah, it's got some almost orangey or citrine or something-ish stuff. So not just a piece of white massive quartz, but a pretty one. And then we see right beyond it, we see more of a green yellow piece of chert. So we'll keep crawling through the gravel here and seeing what we see, but I like that we can look through everything. Tiles like this. This is most likely a spear point or a projectile tip, and I can tell because there would have been the skinny end of it and the fat end of it, and it's got that general pattern to it. It's missing a big old chunk here, and it's been just absolutely sandblasted down. So it's at the end of its being point to where it could be recognizable as anything, but you can see it. It's there. So it will be rescued from the gravels at this point. We can't see a shiny piece, we have to check it out. Again, indications, because there's no matrix left, that it's more than just being bounced down the river, but rivers can do that, so out of context, it's hard to prove anything. Lots of chips of obsidian, lots of natural obsidian deposits occurring in this valley up and down this watershed, so there are very many pieces of just natural stuff occurring, and then in amongst that are worked pieces and tools and weapons and all that. So, but on average, big piles of it, and you can see that's actually been tooled. You know, that's probably not river broken. That's probably secondaries on there and everything else, but after they've been beat down the river a few times, you just can't tell, and there are mountains full of the worked pieces around here, so. Little mini crevice agate. and a thin layer of calcite. Well, yeah, say what you will, there's the red tail screaming up there. I take that as a good omen. I take it as an omen sent to me personally. And I look down at the ground here. And it is missing a little chunk of its tip, but there is a beautiful, I'd call it a spear tip. Could have been adlateral, could have been anything. 10 to 80,000 years of existence, we can just call it a projectile tip that was definitely put on some sort of wood and hurled through the air. Beautiful, look at the workings on that. And I think we're meant to find it because when I come down to these places, for the last 30 years of my life or more, no exaggeration, I found a little thing that I do where I tell the tools that this is their chance to get rescued out of this mayhem and appreciated and be something besides a rock that's turning to sand again, because these are things that human beings have affected and put effort and thought into. Somebody crafted that and sat there and put hope into it and what it would bring them and what it could do. There's that red tail. And so yes, we're going to pluck it back out of oblivion here because that's common sense. And we're going to rescue it from the gravels. There'll be lots of gravel hunting this year. Look at all that stuff getting stirred up under there. We're just working what's exposed. And what's exposed is pretty cool. Big chunk of this chert, you can see its form. It's a good example. You see the bedding of it, so there'd be like the top and the bottom where it was layers of sediment from the ocean floor. That's all the silicate that settled at the bottom of the ocean after the deep acidic waters dissolved all the calcium from the little bodies of the microorganisms that rain down from the sunlit surface layers. And they sink to the bottom and form a salacious ooze. And then that eventually becomes a bedded sedimentary stone. And that silicate content gives us all of this clear transparency to it. I literally just walked you across to rinse off the stones. There's my footprints going back and forth. Another beautiful little projectile. It's obsidian. It's just so sandblasted by traveling down this that it's been sanded down. But there's its little base, and we can look these up in the book. Believe they might be Adena, but again I'll have to check. Beautifus, thank you, thank you, thank you. We will rescue you. No more destruction. No more erasing. No more forgetting. There's a couple of pieces of this chert. bigger and up close. Pieces like this, likely just because of its shape and its use, but we're also in a riverbed where it is completely full of pieces, so I will bring it home just as a piece of obsidian, because why not? This gravel needs to get rained on. It's looking real good because it had all the vegetation ripped away, but it's covered in this mud because the water went down slow. And now it just needs the sprinkles of winter. But we have a little beautiful chunk of chalcedony here. And a little crevice agate. That's gorgeous. Complete with its little pocket rind all the way around. Some red chalcedony in the back here, which is, yes, also called jasper. Not bad. Basic red. Look at that log jam. That's ridiculous. That is a huge log jam. That's taller than my head by 3 feet. Things got moved around this year, for sure. Look at all this gravel. It just needs to kind of demuck. A lot of these zones were getting grown in by the little willows that fill in creeks and stuff like that. And now they're looking wide open again. And then, yeah, you can see the fine silt and mud making everything a brown, so we can shape, hunt, and look for bright colored minerals, but sure could use a little sprinkling of rain just to rinse the tops of all these off. But those are some of the tricks for finding good minerals, is look for times of year and situations where they have been exposed by nature, whether it's the lack of leaves in season or the stirring and refreshing of gravels that nobody else has been to picking through yet. Any of those things can really ramp up your finds. Being one of the first people there is always what allows you to find the super easy ones that are just laying around. So there's this really green rock. Oh, it's a green jasper. There's a red inclusions to it. Not a chert. It's just more grainy, different creature. Not made out of the silicates in the same way. That was a beautiful little nugget of green jasper. And a very muddy little basin here. Like I said, you can look for rudimentary shapes, and that's about it. Oh, I'm excited about having a new little video to edit. It's one of my hobbies that I do enjoy. It can be laborious doing all the editing, but it's also where you get to do all the teeny tiny artistic things, down to just choosing how long each frame is and what you leave in and edit out and all of that. So it's always been one of the fun parts that I would never hand away or let anybody else do. So I've done every one of these videos myself, which is obvious. What are you? That is a nice big sharp fresh piece of obsidian. You know, it could have been started and tooled, but it's so fresh it looks like it probably broke off a big boulder in the last 50 years of tumbling around down this river. But it's a cool piece to bring home, for sure. Some of that black glass mountain, Napa Valley obsidian. See, there's big pieces of it all over. This one still has a lot of the matrix on there. Ooh, river treasure. A piece of sunglasses. Looking for bottles sticking out over there. Or petrified tree logs or anything. If there was a big chest of gold coins that just spilled out and they were laying down here, you'd want to be the first person. Woo, this has been in here a while. Colgate in a metal tube. Dental cream. Okay. Piece of plumbing. We'll go ahead and snatch up any of these green pieces that I see because it's my favorite shade of it. You can see the inside poking through. There's a fun little layered piece of shirt. Got the greens and grays going on. I ordered my cool bottle. Said soda on there. That might even be a Jackson soda. I think we'll bring that home and we'll look because the soda castle was here. So that was, I believe it was a colonel in the Spanish army, and then after the war, or whatever you want to call it, when the United States took over California, he kept his land grant at the northeastern end of the Napa Valley there, and then built a huge bottling plant, serving the world up with soda water that I've been up to as a boy, and the springs are still there, and it actually bubbles in your mouth, natural carbonation, and not bad tasting, no sulfur, nothing like that. So it's really nice, almost flavorless water that's naturally carbonated. Really crazy stuff. And so he built a big old castle, and it's all burnt down and just to ruins now. I think they're rebuilding it into a winery, but for a long period of time he existed there and sold the Jacksons Napa soda water. So you'll find these bottles all over, and that sure looks like his print, although that same print was used, that embossing, on a lot of bottles, because I think the company that sold these just put different names on there, but pretty sure that's probably a Jackson's bottle. And we are about 15 miles away at the most as the crow flies from that location. So look at this little piece of crock. Again, would have been a cute little crock. It wasn't an animal dish, that was a lidded little crock. And we're coming to the end of our little land bridge for now, so I think it's time to turn around. Pretty sure that'll be the end of the video for now. So it's good to see all of you, and yeah, here we are. We're back at it. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for wandering around with me a little bit. A little rough and rusty at this now. It's been a few weeks or whatever, and get my brain back into it, and I appreciate you all joining me again. And for anybody that's their first time here, this is what we do. We wander around and we find cool stuff. So yeah, hope you're having an okay winter, summer, whatever it is, wherever you are. and I will check in soon. I will see you all soon. Thank you all so much, and the quest goes on.